MBAs are dead, and software engineers are the new business leaders in 2025 and beyond. Don't believe me? Let's take a look. Mark Zuckerberg, CS degree, creator of Facebook, now known as Meta, $1.47 trillion valuation. Bill Gates, creator of Microsoft, once again, CS degree, $2.85 trillion valuation. Creator of Google, $1.97 trillion valuation. And of course, CS degree. Jeff Bezos, computer engineering degree, $2 trillion valuation. Creator of Amazon, right? None of these people had an MBA when they started, and yet they built multi-trillion-dollar companies. Not billion, trillion. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why software engineers are dominating the business world and how you can use this advantage yourself. And yes, you, because if I was able to go from a corporate 9 to 5 with an electrical and computer engineering degree to making more in a day than I used to make in an entire year, right? And my students can do the same exact thing, make upwards of $50,000 a month in only 3 months, then you can do the same exact thing. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. First and foremost, we need to understand how software engineers are the new MBAs. So for decades, business schools told us that if we want to learn how to run a company, how to run a business, we need to get an MBA. Hence why you had a plethora of individuals trying to get into Harvard, Yale, and so many other business schools to pursue an MBA degree to one day build their own business. But now, it's pretty much evident that MBAs study businesses, whereas software engineers build businesses. So let me explain why software engineers are inherently overpowered. Software engineers are creators at their very core, okay? If we want to build a startup, we don't need any funding. We can just code our own MVP. If we want passive income, we can automate our work. If we want to scale, we can just code a product once and sell it 1,000,000 times with a SaaS, right? And on a more fundamental level, business is all about leverage. And code is the ultimate leverage because we can make it once and sell it for an infinite amount of times. So if you can write code, which most software engineers can, then you can automate pretty much any business process in existence. So for example, Amazon automated warehouses, Stripe automated online payments, Netflix automated recommendations, and there are a plethora of other examples that I can give you. But on a more fundamental level, it's as follows. So if MBAs have to hire specific people to do a job, well, us as software engineers can simply write scripts to replace these very same people, which is exactly what's happening with AI right now. Salesforce isn't hiring any more people, right? And you have a plethora of other companies essentially not hiring people in general and firing people even more so because AI is now doing more work. So of course, some software engineers also got the short end of the stick and got fired. But that's because now one software engineer can do the work of 5 software engineers. But compared to a regular person, software engineer is still in a much better position than any regular person. For my personal example, I have a friend who used to be a scribe. She got laid off without even knowing what was going to happen because AI now replaced scribes where I'm at currently in LA, right? So think of it this way. An MBA hires employees to scale a business, but a software engineer writes software to scale that very same business. So whereas an MBA thinks in terms of human labor, right? We think as software engineers of code labor. I haven't even touched upon media leverage yet. I'll get into that later. And the best example of this is when Facebook actually bought Instagram. At the time, Instagram only had 13 employees and they got acquired for $1 million. 13 employees. That's the difference when your actual founder is tech-based versus non-tech-based, right? So if that's the case, you might be asking, Bugo, why aren't all software engineers trillionaires at this point, right? If we are so advantaged. Well, that is because not all engineers will succeed. Because most often than not, they make this one mistake that stops them from actually seeing this level of success. And that very same mistake is as follows. Many software engineers write code before testing a market. They do not validate their idea early, right? Too many software engineers think that, oh, if I build something amazing, people will just simply come, right? But that's not the case. If nobody wants what you're building, it doesn't matter how great your product is, people will simply never pay for it. And frankly, this is a very rookie mistake because most software engineers can bootstrap companies on their own. I mean, you don't need funding, right? You don't need huge teams, especially with AI now and Cursor. You can pretty much do with one man like 10 people's work. And you don't need any of the corporate BS or any of the red tape that other people might need, right? So you don't need any investments, you don't need a huge team, none of that. Which means inherently speaking, compared to other individuals, software engineers have lower risk and higher reward. And yes, even more so than people with an MBA, okay? So let's go further into the inherent advantage of a software engineer and more specifically, how you yourself can use it to start a profitable business and escape the corporate grind. So let's first understand what a business is. As we talked about before, it's essentially solving problems at scale. And software engineers already think like entrepreneurs because guess what? We solve problems at scale. And that's why our mindset is the best framework for business success. We are used to breaking problems down into smaller parts, right? We're used to optimizing systems. We're used to automating everything. We're used to thinking in terms of pseudocode. Break a big problem down into small little pieces and consumable chunks and then work your way up from there. And these specific engineering principles apply directly to any and all businesses. And best of all, software now is pretty much eating the world, for lack of a better word. Healthcare, it's going towards AI-powered diagnosis, as I mentioned with the scribes being laid off, right? Finance is going towards algorithmic trading. Retail is going into e-commerce automation, right? Law firms and manufacturing and logistics companies are all now tailoring software-based and AI-based solutions that I'm seeing firsthand in these industries. Of course, our capability is a lot higher than what's being adopted right now, but that adaptation phase, which is going to take about 5 to 10 years, will slowly but surely be in the past, right? Because right now there's a little bit of, you can say, roadblocks between people with a non-technical background getting used to all this AI stuff. But once a few years passes, AI and all these software will be the norm in pretty much every single industry. And when I say that software engineers are the bastion of humanity, I mean it. They are driving the future of every single industry in the world as of this moment. And for you, this is amazing news because the fact that you have a technical background, specifically in software engineering, means that you understand tech on a more fundamental level, you speak dev language, and this means that you can execute ideas yourself without needing the help of somebody else, right? As I like to say, you can teach a software engineer business, but you can't teach a business student software engineering. Inherently, we are very different. I'm not going to talk about IQ, I'm not going to talk about all these things, but if you do take a look at software engineers compared to the regular people, right, on average, they perform better at pretty much every single thing that relates to a business, right? They have higher IQ on average, they are better at problem solving on average, right? They are better at risk taking on average, and so many other things that you as a business owner need to succeed. So here's how you can actually monetize your coding skills as a software engineer to create a business without needing an MBA. First and foremost, let's take a look at our options. Freelancing, not really. It's limited upside. It's still trading time for money. We want to stay away from freelancing. High-ticket consulting, well, this is much better because now, even though you're kind of still trading time for money, your time is worth a lot more as opposed to if you were just a single individual because now you're behind a business, you're behind a brand, right? And of course, building a product. Now, this is the best way you can scale because from this moment on, your time has no correlation with the amount of money you're making. And if you want to go a step further, you can even do a productized service, which means you can charge higher ticket and also outsource that same service to other people, meaning the money you make isn't dependent on your time and you can charge a lot more, right? So on a more fundamental level, if your code can solve a genuine problem with painful pain points, then know that somebody will pay for it. You just need to be in front of that person, creating awareness, right? And the best way to do this, in my personal opinion, especially when you're a beginner starting off, is to focus on local problems. More specifically, using AI to automate businesses that are near your location, right? Now, this can be a physical location, let's say in your city, or it can be near your location in terms of your network, right? If you know somebody, right, whether it be it digitally or physically, if you can get access to them, then just leverage your network to capitalize on these type of opportunities. But what I have seen from a personal standpoint is even I'm in LA, right? The next essentially best tech city in the US is SF, right? The Bay Area. And let me tell you right now, businesses in our cities are still behind on adopting AI and software solutions. There is such a big potential here. It is insane. I am actually now including new services in AV Analytics, my company, to allocate some AI usage for very specific services that we're going to offer. Okay, that's how big of a gap that I'm seeing in the market. And if this is happening in my cities, right, LA and Bay Area, I know for a fact it's happening everywhere across the world, because usually Bay Area and LA are about, give or take, 2 to 3 years ahead of all these trends that are happening, right? Now, most people want to chase the global startup ideas, right? The next Google, the next Facebook, the next whatever the hell. But please, that's a very big mistake. Don't make it. Start local. Focus on local businesses. Focus on local problems. You can just as easily get to $100,000 a month focusing on only local businesses. And for 99% of you asking, okay, does this apply to my location? Yes, it does. If you're from any Western country, so Canada, United States, and pretty much anywhere in Europe, and yes, Eastern Europe included, you are capable of making all the amount of money that you want to make strictly from local businesses. And understand that AI isn't here to replace you, okay? It's here to multiply your impact. So you need to get along with actually using it. You need to understand AI. Now, AI might not replace you, but a software engineer who uses AI will replace you. So on a more fundamental level, whether you want to or not, you need to get acquainted with AI and learn how to best use it. Because only then can you really, and I mean really, gap pretty much any MBA out there. And remember, you don't need to invent the next Google, guys. Just find something inefficient and make it slightly better, right? For example, Calendly, it was just a better scheduling tool, and now it's over a $3 billion valuation. Stripe, it was a better online payment tool, and now it's over a $90 billion valuation. You win by execution, not originality. None of these companies were the first at what they did. However, they were the first to execute properly, okay? And remember, at the end of the day, humans are expensive, slow, and unreliable. AI works 24/7, never complains, and scales infinitely. So whether you want to or not, AI is here to stay, and AI will change the game. When I say AI, I encompass most software within it. AI agents, right? Specific AI applications, and of course, in the future, AGI potentially. But when I say AI, it's an all-encompassing term with regards to pretty much most software and AI usage. So always understand that the longer we go into the future, wherever we can replace humans, we will always replace humans because they're expensive, slow, and unreliable. And machinery, specifically AI, works 24/7, never complains, and scales infinitely. So if you think that this opportunity is, isn't gonna get any bigger or it's not a good one, you are mistaken. This is only going to get better and better. And we are actually extremely early. AI is still extremely early. Whether you're going to be a software engineer who makes it for other businesses, or whether you're going to create an AI app yourself, even if you're not going to focus on AI, you're going to focus on regular software. At the end of the day, AI will fundamentally change the entire landscape. Even right now, AI has changed coding in general with the vibe coding. I'm sure you've heard of Cursor AI and all these things, right? On a more fundamental level, understand that AI is a huge, huge, huge market, multi-trillion-dollar market that we still have not completely tapped into. And no better time than now to actually focus on it, more specifically with local businesses. So end of the day, it's really all about automation. Automate or die. Use AI or simply just die, give up, because there's no other thing that you're going to be able to do with it, okay? That is the new game. That's the new game that you have to play right now. It's either you adopt to AI, you learn how to work with it, you learn how to use it, and you understand on a more fundamental level how to use it for businesses, right? Because only then will you really, quote unquote, be free in the sense of how you're going to make more money, how are you going to be stable, right? Collecting income on a month-to-month basis. And that's why software engineers are the new MBAs, because where the future is headed, with AI especially, we are the best fit to not only create it, but also to use it and to guide others on how to best use it as well. In all aspects, no matter the industry, software engineers are the next bastion of humanity. It will be up to us to shape the world for the next 10 to 15 to 20 to 25 years. So the power is all in your hands. It really depends on what you're going to do with it. As always, thank you for watching and have a good one.